Hi, Pinky Junior. So Pinky Junior is asking, Pinky Junior says, I still have X and my price is 1.30. By the way, I presume that when you said price, you were referring to your average price. Okay? Now, when do you think I should sell them? When do you think I should sell my stocks on X? I feel like I tend to sell too early or too late. Can you also make a tutorial video on that using X, MBT, or FGen as a reference? Thanks always for mentoring. So since you've asked about X, Pinky Junior, let's use X as a reference. And we're going to tackle this based on your uh, quote-unquote average price, which is 1.30. So let's take a look at the chart of Surpass. Surpass, your average price sits at 1.30, okay, and then Surpass closed today at 1.52 a piece as of Thursday closing. It closed in the red zone, and it gave us a volume that is I think it's just half of yesterday's volume, nearly half of yesterday's volume. Oh, by the way, do you see this net foreign the foreign fund flow chart here? So let me tell you something about this. Foreign investors are not really um, actively trading Surpass, as you can see here, or I would say they're not actively they don't have that much appetite to accumulate on Surpass, as you can see on the net foreign selling bars that are pointed to the southward direction on this net foreign chart. Okay, they are pointing to the southward direction. That means it's a net. These are net foreign selling days. Do you see any bar chart on the net foreign histogram that is pointing towards the northward direction? You can barely see them. So the foreign investors' appetite on Surpass is actually to sell this stock. But do they have a significant position? Do they sell a significant amount on Surpass? Well, based on this histogram, on a daily basis, their average is only somewhere near 2.5 or maybe 2 million pesos a day worth of net foreign selling. As far as their transactions are for this month are concerned. Now let's take a look at the chart of Surpass again. You said that your average price is somewhere near 1.30. Okay. Do you still remember what I always advise to you and to all subscribers on our private client forum, on our private clients forum? What is that thing that I always advise? Use a trailing stop loss, not the plain stop loss, not the constant or fixed stop loss, but the trailing stop loss. What's a trailing stop loss? A trailing stop loss considers your percentage of risk tolerance. How much risk can you only afford to handle in trading Surpass? Can you only handle 10% worth of risk when trading Surpass? If the answer is a yes, then you will have to calculate. It's basic arithmetic. What's 10% below 1.59 when Surpass hit an intraday high of 1.59 last Wednesday? So 10% below 1.59. 1.59 times zero point 0.1 minus 1.59, so that's 1.43. 1.43. Has Surpass hit 1.43 already since it hit 1.59 last Wednesday? So yesterday's intraday low was 1.47, so that was 4 ticks above 1.43, which is the current position of your trailing stop loss. But that is if you have a 10% risk tolerance when you do short-term trading on Surpass. Okay, that's based on the assumption that you have applied 10% risk. Now, for today, what's the intraday low of Surpass for today? It was 1.51. Still, that was 7 ticks, 7 points or 7 ticks above your current trailing stop loss of 1.43. What does that mean then? So again, I'd like to establish my basis for mentioning this 1.43 trailing stop loss. I have assumed that you have a 10% risk tolerance on a surpass. That's why we calculated your trailing stop loss based on the intraday high that surpass registered yesterday. So 10% below 1.59 is 1.53. That means if and only if surpass hits or inches closer to 1.43, then you must sell at 1.43. Does it mean that you will only sell at 1.43? Can you not sell at 1.47? Of course, you can sell at a price higher than 1.43. This strict compliance to your trailing stop loss is only a way for you not to have for you to have a stress-free trading experience. Okay, so if you would like to sell above 1.43, then that's good. It's up to you. Again, remember that I encourage all of you to use a trailing stop loss because it does three letter P's. What are these P's? First, it protects your capital. Secondly, it preserves your gains, which is in your case, your average price 1.30. Your trailing stop loss, that is if you have applied 10% risk, is at 1.43. So that means you are 13 centavos above your average price. Third one, aside the second one is it preserves your capitals. The third one is it protects or it prevents unbearable losses. It keeps you away from a percentage of loss that is way beyond the percentage of risk that you can only handle. So that's the purpose of using a trailing stop loss. So Pinky Junyo, again, if you would like to have a stress-free trading experience, trading not only Surpass but also any other stock, all stocks, you have to apply a trailing stop loss. You have to identify your trailing stop loss even before you enter a new position on the stock. Okay? Because again, it prevents unbearable losses, it protects your gains, and it preserves your capital. Okay, now what if Surpass breaks out above 1.63, or let's say it closed at 1.63? That means you will have to recalculate your trailing stop loss because 1.63 is way higher, obviously higher than the 1.59 peso, than the 1.59 reference that we used to compute your current trailing stop loss. So 1.59 is lower than 1.63. That means you will have to recalculate your trailing stop loss when Surpass hits 1.63 or any amount higher than 1.59. So let's say Surpass, I'm sure you would like this to happen. So let's say Surpass hits 1.63. What will be your new trailing stop loss then? Again, do the basic or elementary arithmetic. You what's the 10%? 1.63. That's 0.163 minus 1.47. That means your new trailing stop loss now is at 1.47, but that is only if Surpass touches the 1.63 resistance level. Okay, so that's the goodness of having a trailing stop loss. It does an upward adjustment when the stock hits a new high relative to your entry price, but it never does a downward adjustment. It never does a downward adjustment if the closing price or if the price of the stock goes below a certain price that is lower than the reference you've used to calculate your trailing stop loss. How is that then? Um, the reference that we used to calculate your trailing stop loss was 1.59. So if Surpass hits a price higher than 1.59, since that's a new price higher than 1.59, you will have to recalculate to get an upward adjusted trailing stop loss. However, if in this case whereby Surpass closed below 1.59 today, we don't have to do we don't have to recalculate our trailing stop loss. We don't need to do a downward adjustment on our trailing stop loss. Because if you will do a downward adjustment on your trailing stop loss, then it already disrespects the second P of using a trailing stop loss. And what is that second P? That's it preserves or it protects your gains. It locks in your gains. So if you're going to do a downward adjustment on your trailing stop loss, then there's no way for you to lock in your gains. If you will continuously do a downward adjustment, then um, that means you're allowing your gains to get thinner and thinner as the stock registers a lower price. So remember that, Pinky Genio, use a trailing stop loss in whatever stock that you're trading, whether it's Surpass or any other stock. Now, I would also like to give you an input in as far as my 10-day moving average and MACD combination is concerned. When do I get when do I get a buy signal as far as 10-day moving average and MACD is concerned are concerned? It is when it is a buy signal for me. Listen to this one, Pinky Junior. It is a buy signal for me if the closing price of the stock closes above the 10-day moving average, which is in this chart, it's the green line, this one. If it closes above the 10-day moving average, if the price closes above the 10-day moving average and the MACD line closes above or crosses or is moving above the signal line, then that's a valid or a confirmed buy signal for me. So in this MACD histogram, which one is the MACD line? Is it the blue line or the red line? MACD is the blue line. The red line is the signal line. So obviously, MACD is moving above the signal line and the price is moving above the 10-day simple moving average. So is it a buy signal then? In as far as my 10-day moving average and MACD combination is concerned, yes, it is a buy signal. But then, for some of you who are still on the planning stage, whether to enter a new position on Surpass or not, I encourage you to strictly apply a trailing stop loss because it is possible that if you will enter a new position on Surpass tomorrow just because my 10 SMA and MACD gives us a buy signal, it is still possible that Surpass will register a red closing price tomorrow, especially that it's Friday and there's barely about, I think there's only a few days left, not more than 5 trading days for the year. So expect some flimsy volume that's going to happen, not only in Surpass but across across the some of the stocks on the Philippine Stock Exchange. So so that's what you need to consider, especially those who are planning to become new entrants on Surpass tomorrow. Do a test buy. Test buy only. Don't go all in. Never go all in on any stock, no matter how high is your conviction, no matter how bullish your data-driven assessment on the stock is. Just do a test buy. When worst comes to worst, and if you have a trailing stop loss, at least you're not going to risk something. You're not going to risk your money beyond a risk tolerance that is more than what you can only and realistically handle. Okay. Again, consider as well, I already mentioned this one, but I just want to reiterate this. Foreign investors are not really in love with Surpass. Obviously, all of these net foreign bars that you see are pointing towards the southward direction. You can barely see some bars pointing to the northward direction. That means they have not been registering a net foreign buying day for a Surpass for how many weeks already. So on a short term, to wrap this up, Surpass is bullish in as far as short-term time perspective is concerned, but it remains bearish relative to its position below the 200-day simple moving average. Okay, so I hope, Pinky Junior, I was able to give you an update about Surpass. Now, if you have questions, don't hesitate to leave a comment or reply on the thread where I posted this video in our private clients forum. Thank you again. My name is JC. Have a good day.